This thing on? I don't know. I'm going to go with it. Hey, what's up? It's me, Animal. Only on Animal Expedition Files. See you there. Hey everybody, welcome to the Animal Expedition Files. I'm your host, The Animal. Thank you so much for joining me. I know you're used to seeing me live, but now these are pre-recorded shows, so you can catch them anywhere streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and all wherever you can find them. But thank you so much for joining us. Also, you can reach me at www.animalexpeditionfiles.com, where you can reach all my shows and special merch, where you can buy anything you want, from shoes to shirts, backpacks, you name it. Especially when the holidays are coming, get some cool stuff. But I have an amazing guest here. We've been talking a little bit before we started recording. Richard, I'm going to say this right, Richard Lillard. I hope I said that right. I know it's a whole mouthful, but amazing person. We just had an amazing talk about religion, Satanism, and a whole bunch of things and journeys, and we're gonna put him on right here. But please like and subscribe before I let my amazing guest on. We're gonna talk about his journey on his amazing quest for Satanism and where he's been lately. So please like and subscribe, like I said, and we're gonna welcome Richard Lillard. Welcome to the show. Once I push that button. Hey, what's up, buddy? How's it going?
Hi, friend. I'm well, thanks. And you said it correctly. All hail Richard Lale.
Oh, Richard Lale. I should just say that for now. I'm like, all hail Richard Lale.
Well, you know, it's my surname, Lillard, in American vernacular, it's actually French.
Oh, wow.
It's French origin. And in Francais is Liao, and it means chosen of the horned god.
Oh, wow.
Opponent of the faith, accuser of the brethren, witch, mumbler, heretic, spellcaster. And then Lael, actually, I miss the Lael is Aramaic, which means chosen of the god El, which is the horned god. And then the Richard part is Middle English, which means powerful ruler. So powerful ruler, chosen of the horned one to oppose the faith. That's what my name literally is. And in Francais, Richard Laeliard. Which I won't have anyone do that because
we're just gonna go all hail Lale.
All hail Richard Lale.
Richard Lale. It's a lot easier. But thank you so much for talking to me a little bit. We're gonna actually going into that pretty soon about what we were just talking about. But tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey, how you got there, and where are you right now?
Sure. Well, I think that every journey should be a continued journey. So I have explored a lot of different things. I currently refer to myself as a theistic diabolist. Diabolism is a 19th century literary term that humanized the devil and gave him sort of the gentleman appearance that we know and love or abhor today. The diabolist sort of a moniker that I use means that yes, there may be some spirit out there, maybe not, but no matter what, that God would not demand worship. When when I identified as Satanist, I was never actually a member of the Satanic Temple, nor was I a member of the Church of Satan. I have friends who are in both, wonderful people in both. Neither are for me because I like to do things a little on my own. So
Yeah.
I am a deistic diabolist. So there may be something. I do believe in magic and ghosts and spirits, and I do believe in those things, which confuses a lot of people. They think that I should anything that is not completely 100% science, they think that I should push away. And there was a time that I tried, but I that is not who I am. I have seen magic. I have encountered ghosts, spirits, otherworldly things. I know things that other people don't know. A funny story, that people will scoff at me being a psychic, a medium.
Yeah.
And I when before we do anything, any kind of reading, I always have my sitter and we will sit together and we breathe. We inhale through the nose, hold it, exhale out of the mouth, hold it, repeat that 3 times. It's called 4-point breathing.
Hmm.
And what it does is it releases their tension and their energy, and then it helps me to see images. Now, these images are sometimes pop culture references. Sometimes they make sense in the moment. Sometimes they are pertinent in ways that I cannot fathom. Um, Oftentimes, it's still puppies, kitties, flowers, and trees, and I see these images and I try to explain what the feelings that I have been evoked. Now, I had a woman sit down and we did the 4-point breathing. We did 3 of those breaths into the nose, out the mouth, hold it, all of that. And I said to her, I see a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And
Huh.
in my mind, I didn't know what that meant, if it meant that she was going extinct or if she had tiny arms. I didn't know. Her jaw hit the
Very
floor, her
way.
husband's jaw hit the floor, and she said, "That is the tattoo on my leg."
Oh man.
So these that happens a lot. Or I've had I had a woman sit down. I said, "I see big shiny teeth. Maybe you've got your teeth in something." She says, "No, I'm an orthodontist." So,
Oh
yeah, these things happen all the time. So I think that we all have that certain amount of psychic ability that is when we crawled out of the primordial ooze, when we were cave dwellers. If we went out to hunt and we throw a spear to the right and yet the animal goes to the left, then we die. Our entire species dies.
mhm.
But if we throw it to the left and we know that it's going to go to the left, that split second, we all survive. So I think it's innate within us. I don't know that it is something really magic or not. I don't know. As
Yeah.
far as ghosts and spirits go, again, I think that time is an illusion. It's persistent, but it's an illusion. So am I talking to dead people? I don't know. Am I communicating with them when they are in life in their sleep? I don't know. I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't know. But I've seen it work.
Yeah. That's crazy. Have you ever been in a situation when you're like reading people where it gets like very serious, where people have to walk away? Do you have any like stories like that that you've encountered?
There was a woman not long ago, and I can't go too personal, but I will tell you that I was giving her a reading and I saw a violin,
Oh wow.
and she jumped up from the table and she ran and she cried. And then she came back after a few minutes and she said, "I'm so sorry I acted that way. It's just nobody knows. And I'm so sorry I acted that way." And I went, "Really? It's okay. I don't know what the violin means, but that was what
Yeah.
I saw." So whatever that was, whatever that message was for you, that is the message for you.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Wow. That's very interesting. Yeah, it's always cool to see how people react to certain situations because I've like seen situations where people just like jump out of their chair and just don't come back because it was like a dead family member or whatever it was, and it just scared them and they never came back.
I've had that happen a couple of times.
Yeah.
I was doing a seance and I said, "Oh, there's a gentleman. I feel a presence. This gentleman is here. Um, he's related. I don't think he's on your mother's side. I think he's on your father's side, but ask him. Use the divining rods. Ask, is it mother's side? No. Is it father's side? Yes. Ask if it's father." Is this dad? Yes, it is. Nope, I don't want to talk to him. She said, I'm done. I don't want to talk to him. I have nothing to say to him. I went,
Wow.
okay, okay. I don't know. That's all I have.
Wow. Have you ever had like a spirit take over, like when you're doing like one of these, um, just when you're with a person? Do you ever feel like a spirit take over you before?
I don't ever really allow them that much presence.
Mm.
I let them use a little bit of my energy, but I do have a funny story. Um, I had called in the energies, the sources that be, for a seance. And I am not a drinker, by the way. I am not a drinker, but I'd called in the source of energy and we had closed the session. They had left. And I get this text from my friend. Hey, we're in town. We're in Pasadena. And can we come over for tea? And I remember saying yes. And then I didn't remember anything until the next morning when I woke up and there were there were wine bottles everywhere and there was champagne bottles everywhere. I had emptied my entire liquor cabinet to my guests. And apparently what had happened was even in the photos that were taken of me that night, I didn't look like myself. I looked disheveled.
Wow.
And as it turns out, I had not properly closed down this session.
Mm.
And I had called upon one of the voodoo Loa. Um, I called upon Papa Legba, and he was a raucous person. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, I told them to get the F out. And I was, I apparently I had leapt over rose bushes or something. Like, and I called my friend. I said, about last night. And he goes, "Oh, you were so weird. I've never seen you like that. You were so weird. You didn't drink at all, but you were you were you were pouring drinks like they were water, and then you'd disappear and come back with more water bottles. You'd walk backwards through the door, and then you would have this sort of weird like claw thing that you were doing." And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, he said, "You just came back out and was like, get the fuck out of my house. Get out, get out, get out, get out." I was like,
Oh man.
"Well, I didn't close down. I didn't close down." And apparently, the Loa wanted to party a little bit harder than what we were intending.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this question about religion. Do you think religion's less or more in today's world? Like, do you think people are more in tune with religion, or what's your stance on with that?
That is a difficult question. I think that as we get further and further away from any source, I
Mhm.
think that there is a certain amount of fringe of people who do not read their holy books. There are people who do not read the Bhagavad Gita or the Torah or the Quran or the Bible or the I can't remember the other one that the Jewish faith uses. The Torah and the I can't I can't remember the Talmud. The Talmud. Um, I think that a lot of people do it because it is tradition and it's what is expected.
Yeah.
Um, they latch on to something that they have been told and they don't go and read it for themselves because we have no attention span as a species anymore. We have no attention span.
Yeah. It's like we all have ADD out there. We're like, what's that?
Yeah, and I think it's detrimental. I think that if more people were to actually read,
Mhm.
whether no matter what it may be, you would either find a reason to defend why you believe, or you would not believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. The reason why I asked that because like I know we were talking earlier about, and you probably know what we're going into next is with religion and Christianity and Satanism and Buddhist and all different and witchcraft and all different kind of religions together. But the reason why I'm going into this because like I know in my faith, like I was a I was a hardcore Christian, like I guess you could say, like I was going to church faithfully. I was playing in the worship band, you know, we were doing all kind of cool things until like um I was promised to do this, blah blah blah. So I moved to Australia to be a pastor. So I studied the Bible to be a pastor, a youth pastor, to come back. And when I came back and they're like, oh, no, we can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, then why did I do all this stuff that you promised me? And it was like all in writing and all this stuff. And it's like, it really hurts because like you think like you join a faith that you think that is all loving and caring. And it's just like, they just push you away.
And they will. I think that at their core, all Abrahamic faiths are fascist. All Abrahamic faiths are fascist.
Yeah.
They all claim that they are the chosen ones, that everyone else is going to be tortured or is evil or is wicked or is lied to or. And the Abrahamic God of all of the three main religions is the same Middle Eastern war god.
Mm-hmm.
And it wants division. It wants people to be angry, and it wants division. It's what it wants.
Yeah.
So when people worship a war god, what do you think you're going to get?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's fascist. It is at its core. They're the god of the god of the Old Testament, the God of the Bible, wants you to murder your children when he tells you to, commits genocide indiscriminately, thinks that women are property, views slavery as a good and moral thing to do.
Yeah.
And even Jesus, who sort of changed some of the rules, never once thought, hey, by the way, don't own people. That's really bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I have my issue.
Yeah, and especially like we were talking about, like how in the book of, I think it was the book of Job, where you know, in this kind of way, God kind of plays the devil
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, actually, because he allows a wife and kids to be killed and him to be tortured. And why would you allow somebody who's all loving, all knowing?
Not only, but command it.
Yeah.
Go do it. Go do it.
Yeah.
See what happens. Go do it.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it's celestial North Korea.
Hmm.
In this paradiso, as it was so called, in this so-called paradise, Yahweh wants you to never have any sad thoughts, that you will always be worshiping him forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Well, I will tell you, my mother was my best friend on the planet. My mother was kind and loving and good and wonderful and generous. She was a wonderful human being. And if my mother, that being my mother, would go to heaven, she would mourn that I would not be there. And yet the Bible says that there will be no tears in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
So that is not, if that place does exist, that is not my mother.
Yeah.
It's a robot. It's an android. It is somehow stripped away of all of the humanity.
Yeah.
That sounds like hell to me.
Oh, it does. It's very sad because like you want that affection with people and have a relationship with people, right? Like we strive for that as human beings. We want to have a relationship with people. We want to help people. We want to help the homeless. We want to help people who are hungry. Like right now, like the whole people lost so many SNAP benefits.
Yes.
And their wages and all that stuff. The whole government shut down. I don't want to get too political, but like, and out of everybody, it just blows my mind that Satanists, Muslims, Buddhists all helped the needy, helped people. And then you get people like, oh, well, they shouldn't be begging for food and all that stuff. I'm like, it's not about that. Like, I thought Jesus said, feed the plenty. feed them. Didn't Jesus like come with a basket of fish and all of a sudden fish and bread like appeared on a mountain?
You supposedly said, "What you have done unto the least of these, you have done unto me."
Yeah.
He said, "I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was
Mhm.
sick and you visited me." And they said, "Lord, when have we ever done those things?
Mm.
When have you ever been in prison?" And he said, "As you've done unto the least of these, you've done unto me." Now, this is the same Jesus that created the idea of hell, that hell did not exist before Jesus existed.
Yeah.
But I do have kind of a funny game to play, though, even though it is slightly political. I'm gonna make if I may, I'm gonna make a little question. You can cut it out.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask a series of questions, and you'll say this is God or this is Donald.
Donald Duck.
Okay. Obsessed with gold.
Donald.
God. Forces his way onto a 12-year-old girl.
Donald.
God. Says that is a racist.
God.
And Donald. Is a sexist.
Donald.
God. And Donald.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of trick questions because really, even though I know we're not trying to be political, but we can't help it sometimes, especially when there are people who are hungry, there are people who are starving, there are people who are afraid, and he's building a $350 million, $350 million or billion, $350 million
Million. Yeah.
ballroom.
By the way, that we just found out about.
With a bunker. Mm-hmm. And it's meanwhile, you know, here's more. God or Donald claims to be the Prince of Peace, and yet also says that he wants war.
Both. Both.
Yeah. So the reason that I actually watched this rather clever expose, and it talked about what is happening in the White House is what has happened to churches everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the mega church. And he showed a reasonably sized church in the middle of nowhere. I think it was Pennsylvania in 2019. And the church grew. And then alongside of it, of where the old sanctuary was, they built a mega church.
Yeah.
And so it minusculed the chapel that actually stood there. And that's kind of what is happening with the government, is that we have merged politics and religion, and now we have the megachurch factor.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part too, because like that girl who's asking for baby formula called all these mega churches that have mega millions and Maseratis.
Mm-hmm. Joel Osteen wouldn't even allow people to come and seek refuge in his church when there was a hurricane.
And the one thing I want to say too is that if you're a Christian to listen to this, because like one thing I do want to say is like if Jesus was in the church today, like walked in the church, like while they're having a sermon, he'd be the first one to be kicked out of the church. Because number one, I hate to say this, he's not white.
Yeah.
He's an immigrant.
Not have been white. He would have been an undocumented Middle Eastern. He also was not a Christian. Jesus was Jewish. Jesus was not a Christian.
Nope. It was not a Christian at all.
And even though there are some really awful things that Jesus has said, Jesus himself was actually a socialist. Feed the poor, heal the sick.
Yep. And then the crazy part is like these books that were written thousands of years later, like the thinking of a Jesus could be real, but all the stuff that he did we don't even know because we can't even trust the person who written these books because the books like have changed like a billion times,
Yes.
different languages, different
Well, and here's the thing too. Um, Languages do not translate one to one.
mhm,
For instance, um, in Espanol, I could say "de puta madre," and that is a horrible slur to say to someone. In English, it says "your slutty mother." That's the one-to-one translation, but
yeah.
that's not what it means.
Hmm.
It's actually much worse in Spanish than it is in English.
Wow.
It's really bad.
Yeah. I don't, oh man, that wrecks my brain.
Even still, British English versus American English.
Yeah.
A lift is an elevator,
Hmm.
but in American English, a lift is a lift in spirits or to raise something up, to a lifted truck, to pick something off the floor. It it is, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Wow. That's very interesting because like man, but to go back into religion, the Christianity, that's why like I've left my faith like in Christian faith because of being bullied and pushed and threatened and
Mm,
like and these were people that I was so close with, like I called them like family, like real family. And real family wouldn't say that, like your own mother or father that you thought they were like so close, just like your mother and father,
mhm.
it pushed you away.
Yeah.
And that's what broke my heart. And it's like, and I was struggling with it, and I was so depressed, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like I didn't know what to do with myself because it was like you feel like you had 1,000,000 pounds on your back, and
Yeah.
you know how you're like so tired and you're dragging yourself. And the funny part is like after like that one thing, it took that one thing from that girl, like, and these
Yeah.
people threatening me and all that, that one thing, I was like, I'm done. Screw it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with people who say they love Jesus or say who they love people and they don't
Wear the
even.
big gold crosses.
Yeah. They're like my wife says, they're wearing a torture device around their neck. It's pretty much a torture device that
Yeah.
they're worshiping.
I had my conversion story was that I I am not a heterosexual, I'll put it that way. I
Mm,
am not a heterosexual, I know, shock to no one. Um, and I in my earlier 20s, I was sort of struggling with it, and even before, I kind of I felt these thoughts, but I sort of suppressed them, and I suppressed and suppressed and suppressed, and then I moved away and I had to come out because it was so much. I had prayed for God to make me normal. I had prayed and prayed and fasted and prayed and begged and prayed. And then when I did come out as gay, most of my literal flesh and blood abandoned me.
mm.
They wanted nothing to do with me, that I was going to a devil's hell, that I had given in to the devil. I was given over to a reprobate mind. So they
Wow.
abandoned me. And then I still clung to my faith. I still clung to it. And I remember I had just moved to Las Vegas. I was 25 years old. My father had been dead at this point about 4 months, maybe 5.
Mm,
And after his death, I moved. I just moved straight away to Las Vegas. And I was working retail, and I had not lived in this place very long. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know the streets. And I didn't have the money to go from my retail job on the strip to Henderson and figure out like so I could take one bus.
yeah.
So I took the bus up and I thought, okay, I think this is the street that I have to get off on. And I got off and I thought, you know what? I am a little bit hungry, and B, sometimes I hide money from myself in my wallet. And you
Yeah.
know what? Maybe I'll find something. And I opened it up, and behind my driver's license was a $20 note. And I thought, okay, this is great. So I waited in the queue, and I thought I stopped at a fast food restaurant, and I waited and I waited and I waited, and I got up to the front, and I opened that $20 note, and it was a tract, and I remembered that I had put it in my wallet because I thought it was funny, and it said, "Disappointed? Imagine how disappointed Jesus is. Store not your treasures on earth, but store them up in heaven."
Mhm.
And I was devastated. And I went back out to that bus stop, not knowing where I was. My mobile phone was dead, and I didn't have maps on them anyway. This was that long ago, and I didn't know where I was. And I went out to that bus stop, and I began to cry because I was lost, and
Mm,
I was hungry, and I took a deep breath, and I sighed, and I felt that torture device around my neck that I had worn since I was 15. And suddenly that cross around my neck weighed a million pounds. And I ripped that thing off and I threw it in the gutter. And I said, "How effing dare you? How
wow.
dare you? I have devoted my entire being to you. I have given up every single Sunday, twice on Sundays, once on Wednesdays, and then for youth meetings on Tuesdays or Thursdays. I was there at church functions. I taught Sunday school, and I begged to be made normal. And the Bible says the just shall not go hungry. I am
Mhm.
hungry, I am cold, and I am lost. And you who claim to be God of love and kindness couldn't give me $20 so I could eat and ask directions?
Yeah.
And suddenly I felt lighter. That cross was in the gutter, and I said, "You know what? I never will ever be bound by that torture device ever again."
Mm.
And I got myself up, and I began to walk, and I walked, and I walked, and I walked, and I walked, and I walked. And then I realized I got all the way over to the other side of the street, like this major, 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 major blocks. Like I walked for like an hour. I
Wow.
I realized that I was one street up from where I was supposed to be and about four streets back this way.
Hmm.
So I got up. I did it.
Yeah.
God didn't tell me.
Yeah.
God didn't save me. I did it.
Yeah.
And that was my conversion story.
Wow. It sounded just like mine because like as soon as I released it and said I'm done, it like I said, like you said, that weight off your shoulder that was like a million pounds, like just went, all that depression, it went away, and it was like one of the best feelings. And people are like, how can you say that? Like I had a conversation with another Christian, like, how can you say that? I'm like, because it makes you free. Like I felt more freer than accepting Jesus as my life and savior. I hate to say that, but it's true. Like I
Yeah.
that was my freedom. I thought accepting him as my Lord and Savior was my freedom, but it was all a lie.
I was so afraid of going to hell that I did not even pleasure myself as men do
Mm,
for over a year when I was 20, because I was afraid that God was going to punish me and strike me instantly for having carnal thoughts.
mm,
And health-wise, that's actually really not good for the member. It
mm,
is really good to keep the blood flowing because it helps in many ways. It
mm.
helps. It also relieves tension and stress, and it makes people a lot less likely
To kill each
to.
other.
Exactly. Exactly.
To kill
Exactly.
it. Yeah. It's like that one I don't know if you've ever watched Seinfeld. You ever watch that
I
show?
used to a long, long time ago. Mhm.
There's an episode where the what was it? George got smarter because he didn't have he didn't have sex anymore, and Elaine got stupider because she did have sex. And they're like, "Why is George smarter than me?" It's just funny, but it just reminds me of that. It's pretty funny.
That is funny.
But oh man, yeah, it's just like a weight over your shoulder, like you were just saying, and it's just such a beautiful story because like you get to find other things out there, other religions, other like pleasures of love, of what you want to worship or do or help
And
people.
the fact that life is so valuable and so
Mhm.
precious and so short and that it does not go on forever is what makes it more special
Yeah,
and more beautiful.
yeah.
I don't want to waste my life using this as a doormat before I am in celestial North Korea forever.
Mm. Now let me ask you this question: being a
Mhm.
Satanist now, what's your definition of a Satanist? Like, what is the journey to be a Satanist? Now I've seen so
And
many. Yeah.
it's different for everyone, obviously, and I am not a member of the Satanic Temple or the Church of Satan. Just
Mm,
to clarify, I am more of a Diabolist because I still use the imagery of the devil because I like it.
it's pretty.
Uh, I also like the idea that the devil is supposed to be the one who stands up against tyranny, the
Mm,
one who says, "Yes, these are the rules, but why?" Question these rules. And I think that goes back to what we were even talking about.
mhm,
Um, what is it to be a Satanist or to be satanic? Is to ask questions.
mhm,
Why? Why do we believe this? Why? Why? Ask yourself, and then when you have no answers, ask again.
mhm.
Because if it is some sky wizard, some sky daddy, and his zombie son, who's also himself, you will not be able to go anywhere.
No.
So, yeah, ask yourself those things, and that's what the definition of being satanic is. It's your own private walk.
I like that.
Even the devil himself, in all of the forms of literature, the devil himself is a solitary creature. So it can be lonely to be the pariah.
And he was a beautiful angel.
Yes, originally Lucifer, which is not really the devil. There's there's all of this lore.
Yeah.
So there is Lucifer, which is not the devil. Lucifer actually is a king.
Mhm,
The serpent was a serpent. He was not the devil, but he gets lumped into it. The closest thing that you get is in the book of Job. We have Hasatan, which means the opponent,
mm,
and then in the New Testament we have Satan. And even though Lucifer means bringer of light, people argue that they're not really the same beings. And
yeah.
I mean, I have a tendency to agree because really they're not the same beings. If you read through the through line, they are not the same beings.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And that's why I love these stories and just being able to just to see what people think about all this because we get all these books of different religions and we just get to have fun and talk about it. Like I want to tell you a little story. Like when I lived in Australia, I was going to be like I told you a pastor. I was waiting for the bus. I was just sitting there just waiting to go to school and I bumped into a Muslim who was just sitting there too. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk to him, just to see how it goes. And honestly, like we started talking, like he talked about his religion, I talked about mine. We went back and forth, and it honestly that was like the best discussion I had with someone of a different faith that we didn't ridicule each other. We just talked, we laughed, we didn't like say, "Oh, you need to join my faith." "Oh no, you need to join mine." It was a beautiful connection where I felt like that was meant to be that day and that at that time, and I felt like that was I felt like that was faith more than what faith is. now what Christians call what faith is. And it was cool because we weren't judging each other either. We
Right.
were just having a normal conversation like me and you are doing right now, talking about different faiths, different religions and different things, different books, all beautiful things. And it just, and I love that. And I just wish people could understand that, especially if people of faith and Christian and stuff. I wish they could adopt that, but it's the thing is they're
Yeah.
so stuck. It's kind of like a cult. I kind of want to
It
say,
is
and I,
absolutely a cult.
yeah, and it's like no matter what you say to them, they're stuck in this ideology where it's stuck, and no matter what you say there's not a God. They're like, oh no, you're wrong. Blah 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 blah. It's you gotta be. You got to let yourself go so you can be free, so you can research things and be able to be
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
Kind of like in a paranormal. Open yourself up. If you want to see something spiritual, open yourself up if you want to have an experience. Same thing with religion, faith, all different kind of what people could believe in. Pagans, witchcraft, Satanist, Diablo, anything you could think of. Like, just open yourself up if you want to learn about all different things, because it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, when Jewish people were held captive in Persia, I think it was 1232 BCE. I can't remember. I really can't remember. And nonetheless, they were held captive in Persia.
Yeah.
And the Persians were Zoroastrian, and they believed in one God. They were monotheistic, even though they had the one God who was Zoroaster, and then they had a negative counterpart who was Angra Mainyu. And so the Jewish people were actually polytheistic in those days. Yahweh, Adonai, had a wife. There were a series of gods. Even what retains in some of the what we call the Old Testament, God says, "Let us make man in our image." Who's he talking to? In Exodus, God says, "Thou shalt not have any other gods before me." Well, he's admitting that there are other gods, and it wasn't about, oh, this is more important in my life. No, he literally meant, I am God.
Yeah.
So there is a certain acknowledgments in this. But that goes back to the ancient Mesopotamians who believed in the triune of gods and a triune of goddesses, and it goes into the Epic of Gilgamesh. But my point is, through communication, the Jewish people were in Persia able to say, oh, well, we believe in all of these gods. There's the god of the air, and the god of the thunder, and the god of lightning, and the god of water. And the Persians said, well, yes, that could be. But what if they were one God?
Yeah.
And they were able to, in those days, to sort of say, okay, all right, well, that might make sense. Maybe you're right. And then when they were freed and sent back home, they became monotheistic.
Wow. That's so cool. That's really cool. I didn't know that.
It is. It's funny, isn't it? How you would think that since Christianity and Islam and Judaism all claim to be monotheistic and there's only one God, the origins are different. Even when in the old, I think it is in the book of Exodus, when I think it's the book of Exodus, when Abraham, the Jewish people have wandered in the desert for 40 days, and Abraham holds up the sign of the serpent to that anyone who was sick or dying could gaze upon the snake and be healed instantly. And even to this day, the symbol of the double helix, the serpent, is the symbol for medicine.
Man.
But it was because that was the old Mesopotamian deity, Yah, Ea, god of the fresh waters, whose form was that of a serpent, and then had created Atum, Adam, Ada, Atom, or Atun, or Adam.
Yeah.
And then his brothers got angry, the god of the air, Enlil and Anu, and they sent a mighty deluge to kill him. So Yah turned himself into the form of a goat so that with his long goat ears, he could hear mankind, hear the cries. And then when the deluge came, he turned his lower form into a fish so he could swim through the solar system and come out on the other side. There he became Saturn
Yeah.
or Capricornicus.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's pretty crazy. Before we actually leave, I know we got a couple of minutes left, but speaking of witchcraft, which is kind of funny because I fought against witchcraft when I was a Christian follower,
I did
and
too.
and not realize that the Bible talks about doing witchcraft,
Yes.
worshiping, taking Jesus, drinking Jesus's blood, having a bite of his body. Isn't that kind of like more of a sacrificial witchcraft kind of thing?
It's
I would
total
kinda think,
witchcraft. It's
and
the it's total witchcraft.
rebuking things and
The
like
trumpets marching around the walled city.
yeah, and just doing kind of weird symbols and like it made me think like after like falling away from this Christian faith and I'm like, wait a minute. This whole time I was fighting against witchcraft when witchcraft was actually good.
Mhm.
You know, I was fighting against the devil when the devil was actually good. He was a good guy and God was actually the bad guy.
My father was a Pentecostal minister,
Mm,
and we moved when I was 5 to a property in a little town outside of Joplin, Missouri, and, he took my brother, my sister, and me rather, around the property,
mm.
and he had olive oil, red thread, and what else did he have? I think he had one more thing, but he had olive oil and red thread. And the olive oil, oh, salt. He had salt. And he would sprinkle the salt and he would say that we are the salt of the earth and this is a barrier against the guiles of the devil. And the olive oil brings the anointing, it brings the purification, it brings the health benefits, it makes things easier. Red is a sign of a promise, and this is a blood covenant that we have, and we're going to surround this property with this blood covenant of Christ. Meanwhile, when you're doing witchcraft, that's exactly what you do.
Exactly. That's why I was like fighting against myself. I'm like, wait a minute, that was witchcraft. Like,
Even in high church, when you have more of a Catholic faith, you
mhm,
have candles, which are a sign of intention.
yep,
It's candle magic. You have incense.
yep.
You have music. You have all of these things. It is all witchcraft.
And Christians come in people's homes with incense and all that stuff, and they read out of a book and they do this and that, and with bells, and I'm like, it's all witchcraft, and it blew my mind after like figuring that out by myself, and I was like, wow, that's really crazy, and they think that's evil when they do it themselves.
My mother was clairvoyant. My mother was wonderful. My mother was clairvoyant.
Mm,
And back in the 60s, she worked for Zenith Television Manufacturing. She
mm.
she made television tubes. And people started asking her rather, um, "What do you know about this thing in my life?" And she would say, "Let me go dream about it and I'll tell you my dream." And so she'd come back and she would say, "Oh, by the way, I know you're having an affair with, and this is who, and this is how, and this is what." And so people started calling her a witch. So my
Wow.
mother, being a Pentecostal, was so afraid that she was doing something that was of the devil that she put on her blinders. And when I came along, I knew things. And my mother said, "Well, I used to, but I put on my blinders. I was afraid of going to hell." And I said, "Mother, you believe in prophecy. You literally believe in prophecy.
Mm.
How is that any different? It's magic."
It's very magic, 100%. It's mind blowing, man. I'm so happy we get to talk about this because it like makes me stronger in knowledge of just to keep searching, keep looking. And that's why like I love the thought of Satanist. I love the thought of it because it's free. You could talk to people, care about people, help people without all the other worshiping and wearing a trap, death trap on you, and all this stuff, and doing all this other crazy stuff. So that's why I loved this interview, because it's free. It's freeing, and
Freeing.
it
It's so
yeah.
free. And it's not because we just want to sin. You know what I do? I sit around in my house and I drink tea and I look at antiques, and I probably spend too much money. I know I spend too much money, but I look at antiques and it makes me happy. That is how I want to sin. I just want to look at pretty things.
Ugh. Yeah, I love that chair too that you're sitting on too.
This
That's
was
really
kind
dope.
of a funny chair. I love this chair. I've had this chair for quite a while. I didn't have it out when I lived in New York, because my
Uh-huh.
space was very small, but I've had this chair for, oh, maybe not 10 years, but close to it. There is a funny story. So I was 15. I'm not That was not 10 years ago, by the way. I was not 15 10 years ago. I wish, but no. Um, I was about 15, and I was getting ready to go on stage in a production of Lost in Yonkers, in which
Hmm.
these two boys, their mother is deceased, their father is being called away to join the military. This is World War II. So these two boys
Hmm.
have to go live with their German grandmother in Yonkers, New York. And along the way, there's a cast of family members that come and go. And I was getting ready to go on stage, and I was thinking to myself, instead of thinking about the character or the monologue or the script, I was not. I was not. And instead, this image of myself sitting in this chair popped up in my head, wearing a suit,
Wow.
and I went, "Oh, that is so gay. That's gay. That's gay. That's gay. That's gay. I can't do that. That's gay. That's gay. That's gay." And because it was the '90s, which now you know how old I am, um, because it was the '90s, I tried to sort of reconfigure what that was, and I went, "Okay, so
Hmm.
shaggy hair, beanie caps, flannels, holy jeans, Doc Martens. Yeah, that's what men dress like. Yeah, that's it." And I heard the woman in my head who played my auntie. My aunt, I can't remember the name now, but she played my aunt. And she has a very distinct cadence. And in my mind, she said to me, "I really like the first one, but I just want you to be happy. But I really like the first one." And I turn around, and there is my friend. She is about 10 years my senior, and she's looking at me, smiling in this knowing smile. By the way, she's a witch. And I went,
Hmm.
"Oh, she can hear me. She can hear me. Crap, she can hear me." Brick wall, 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 to try to shut it out. And then years go by, and I'm living in Pasadena. I'm on Ghost Adventures. I'm doing very well, and I go on eBay, one of my pastimes, and I find this chair. So I drive
Huh.
down and I pick it up in my Mercedes, and with the top down, like it's a big chair. So I drive from Pasadena down to Orange County to pick it up. And funny story is, it is Black Forest. It is late 18th, early 19th century. I think it's
Wow.
Prussian. I don't fully know, but I think it's Prussian. Uh,
Huh.
it actually ended up, after World War One, going to Beverly Hills, where it was in one of those crazy movie star mansions. And then she
Mhm.
died in 1954. And then in 1964, the family moved in. This kid inherited it. He loved it. This was the only thing that was in the house. Um, Two marriages, a divorce, and became a widow. And then he moved in with his adult daughter in Orange County, who hated it. She was all about mid-century modern. She hated this chair. She hated it with a passion. She hated this chair. So he's like, "Well, you're gonna make a lot of money." I said, "I'll never sell that chair. I will never sell that chair." "Oh, okay. I'm so
Yeah.
glad." Well, anyway, so I get home and I call my friend Brandy, and I said, "Brandy, I wanted to show you my chair." And she said, "Oh, it's beautiful. And I told you I liked the first one better." And I said, "Speaking of which, Brandy, um, remember when we were in Lost Yonkers and I tell her the story, and she said to me, "Well, I love you, and I want you to be happy. And you do think really loudly, but I love you." So that's this chair.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I love that chair. That's really cool. I gotta find now. I gotta find a cool chair
Pretty
like
darn
that now.
cool.
That's really cool. Well, before we leave, can you tell us give us a little wisdom before we go on just about your life and how you live about just a little wisdom for
Well,
people.
first and foremost, ask questions. Why do I want it? Why do I feel this way? And then when you can no longer answer the question, that is the real reason. I want to be rich. Why? Because I want to be able to take care of people. Why? Because I want to be loved. I don't want them to suffer. Okay. So ask until you can no longer ask. Indulge yourself. Life is short. Life is precious. What makes it precious is that it is short. So live well, to quote the thing that I love more than anything in the world, which is the Addams Family. I didn't love the musical, but I love the song. Let's live before we die. Let's laugh before we cry. Let's hold each other tight and dance. So, to put it more succinctly, have that extra piece of cheesecake.
Yeah.
Indulge.
I love cheesecake.
Too much, me too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. All hail Richard Lale. Thank you so much for coming on the show on Animal Expedition Files. It has been a blast. Thank you for your knowledge, and I just want to say, just thank you, for talking to me about your faith and everything, and especially what I'm going through right now with my faith, and with my transition right now with changing over to a different faith, and just looking around and studying and living life free, without that crazy thing that's over my shoulder. So I thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. But everybody, thank you so much for whoever's listening to Animal Expedition Files. I really appreciate it because I can't do it without you. And come and watch our shows every week and whenever you can watch them. So I hope everybody has a good night, and I will talk to you in the back room once we finish this little montage video, and we'll talk once we're off the air. So I hope everybody has a good night, and peace out, people.